Yes, I do. I was trying to tell you about Lily's disappearance, but you wandered off. Allow me to continue. Not at the moment. You took care of my soil needs for the next few months at least. I'll be sure to let you know if I need anything, though. Did Lily give you the dinner invite yet? No matter. I'm sure she will. Why don't we talk after dinner? I'm still waiting on a test result.
I'm sorry to hear that, really. This was an important mission. I guess we'll find someone up to the task instead, then. Hi, did you rethink my offer? Thanks, DP. Just give me a bit longer, then we can start the long haul back.
Hello again. Good to see you. So, welcome to our, well, whatever you want to call this little weekly thing we have going on here. We just call it dinner night. I do have to say, DP outdid himself this time with this setting. It's usually just the four of us at a booth. Mom's spaghetti smells amazing. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess it kind of started as a bored DP talking to me while I ate and he swept the floors after dinner in the evening. Like a lot of Bleachers family things in here go, it didn't really start in earnest until Lily swept into this place on our lives. That's one way to put it. Yeah, she's something else, isn't she? She grew up in Diamond City with Zeke and DP. I'm sure she told you that already. But the Bleachers district didn't exist back then. Nobody had been in this area of Diamond City in almost 2 centuries until DP chased that cat in here. So Lily's really taken the Bleachers to heart. Between runs, more often than not, she's cleaning the place and making it into a home. But I digress. Guess I'm just saying Lily makes sure these dinners happen and we're glad for it. She says there's nothing like the family you choose. Even got it in her head to invite the sheriff one day as a joke. And she showed up. She almost never says anything, but she keeps coming. Huh. Anyway, Lily told me about how you guys went out and saved those dogs. That's pretty amazing anyone would do that in this day and age. People barely help each other, much less dogs. It makes me glad to know they'll be running around the Atom Cat's garage now. Uh-huh. We never expected her to show. DP even had to scramble to get a place set. The look on Lily's face was priceless. Total shock. I'm glad she did show up, though. We had been trying to crack that ice for a while by then, and she's not the friendliest person in the Commonwealth. The sheriff isn't the type for idle chat, even on these nights, but I can see she values them as much as the rest of us, or she wouldn't keep coming.
Never mind. I'm doing fine, Lily. Thanks for asking. Of course you can have some fruit. Scurvy is a constant worry around here. Between the poor diets and the background ionizing radiation, it's a wonder more people don't have scurvy, rickets, or other developmental disorders. You should think about a bone density test and a red blood cell count on a regular basis, given your usual exposure levels. Sorry. Force of habit. Just grab 'em off the table under the steps there. You just in the mood for some oranges, I take it? Well, at least I know you'll be safe and good, neighbor. Please be careful out there, Lily. We just got you back. Hi. Excuse me if I'm not the best company right now. I'll never be able to thank you enough for bringing Lily back to us, or how much it means. Here, it's not much, but they're the real pre-war thing. Can't this wait till later? Sure, as long as you don't go trying to compare them to apples. In the meantime, while you were out, I saw the mailman come by again and drop off a letter for you. You're pretty popular lately.
Let me know if you want to sell some of your blood. My plants grow without a carbon source, but they really thrive when I supplement them. I'm also trying to reproduce these sorts of gross changes in morphology, physiology, and life cycle in this greenhouse, with some success. I believe I'm harnessing that mechanism on my bioluminescent vines. As you can see, the same vines clearly display more than one species and color of flower. They're beautiful, but one day I hope to grow many types of food from a single vine. Food security for the Commonwealth is my real motivation. Yet, until the moment of recombination, they remain genetically separate in this same body. It's a strange system indeed. I'm currently testing various purified fractions of blight extract for the ability to catalyze the same sorts of events in my experiments. If I can isolate and purify the factor, we can give this ability to settlements even where blight doesn't grow. Mr. Dr. Pepper has the hots for me. I like him too, he's always been there for me, but a girl's gotta set up a few roadblocks. There's only so many fish in a radioactive sea. Don't want to ruin a potential keeper by moving too fast. The irony of the broken mask incident? Mass shootings in public places by plainclothes civilians is hardly an Institute or synth invention. From what I've read, it was a near-weekly occurrence in pre-war America, and just like with McDonough, their leaders didn't try to stop them either. I heard that an old Slocum's Joe in Lexington was overrun by the Institute synths. It doesn't add up. I wonder what they were looking for. I saw someone eating pre-war deviled eggs in the diner the other day. Where do people get the notion this is a good idea? I imagine Sheng's water must be causing neurological damage and slow cognitive decline. I'm glad we purify our own down here. Isn't the left field diner beautiful? I love going over there to relax, but I've got to watch it or Mr. Dr. Pepper will get the wrong idea. I'm working on analyzing some soil samples. I might have more work for you by the time you're done with your current job, depending on the results. Furthermore, this genetic change cannot be achieved simply by a Hox gene activation, like restoring ancient genes for teeth in chickens. The fern evolved before flowers. There was no genetic information of the flowering life cycle in its genome to reactivate in the first place. Where did this information come from? The simplest explanation would be horizontal gene transfer, but that's too much genetic information. How did the fern then come to possess its flower? That's one of the questions I'm trying to answer. About that time, I had to leave Vault 81 to continue working with them. They simply grew too fast. It became more work to cut them back every week from outside the vault or Dr. Penske's greenhouse. Unfortunately, I could never reproduce what occurred in the fern flower, the wholesale assimilation of entire chromosomes and organ systems. That was until I tried my experiments on some vines growing over forest fungal blight I happened to be cultivating. That was my breakthrough. So, did you get a chance to see Dr. Scara about your shoulder? You mentioned the adduction was slower than usual last week. And? And what was the problem? Was she able to fix it? That's, good, I suppose. I assume they didn't just want to give a perfectly functional Assaultron to a stranger for free, did they? Yes. Well, this is the person that helped her with that motorcycle and the dogs in that story she's no doubt told you a dozen times by now. Speaking of doing odd jobs for people, I had a chance to analyze some soil test results, and I've got some work if you're still interested. I'd normally send Lily, but she'll be on that ammonia run that has that motorcycle salvage at the loading dock of Mass Chem we mentioned earlier. We can talk about it after dinner. It's good you showed up when you did. I'd rather not lean so heavily on Lily for my transport jobs. She spends a lot of time on the road already. Good evening, Sheriff. Can I safely assume Lily pestered you today while on duty to tell you about our guest of honor here? Yes. Well, DP has cooked up something special tonight, as you can see. We've got razor green spaghetti, tato sauce, and warm bread. Good point.
That right there, DP. Okay, so what did you want to talk about, Lily? It's your day. Seriously, though, congratulations, you two. I can't wait to see what the next few years bring. What a pleasant surprise. You're so creative, DP. I don't know about the rest of you, but I want to hear about the Atom Cat's garage and you crossing the harbor floor to sneak up on the gunners. Don't make me regret asking, Lily. I can't believe you forgot, Lily. The invites have gone out, your dress is on your bed in your room, he'll be here sometime today. I have to go hang some decorations in the greenhouse, Lily. Enjoy your panic attack. Yep, I just dropped them in the mailboxes. See you tomorrow, Lily. Thank you. I wouldn't give you guys anything less than the best I could think of. We got lucky I thought of it by chance this time. With the ocean levels being so far above where they were when this town was built, those drains run in reverse at high tide. The railroad headquarters is even further below sea level at that point, and at their most vulnerable. Oh, I'm sorry I missed that. No need to thank me, Rizzo. They'd all do the same for me. Now that would be a trick. Aw, that's so sweet, Rizzo. Thank you. There was over 50 meters of rock between the Institute walls and the river. That was just the bare minimum distance. Singularity. Sorry, Lily, I can't sit by and listen to you butcher science like that. Crenshaw took a pretty-looking weapon of mass destruction home with him one scouting trip and put it on his shelf to admire some years ago. Nobody recognized it for what it was. Well, nobody with an intact sense of self-preservation, at least. Thank you, Whitworth. But it turns out it's something called a singularity device. Anything within 200 meters of the detonation is effectively removed from existence. Armor doesn't help, solid rock, heavy metal, air, light, whatever it is, matter or energy, it's just gone in a flash. Doesn't she look beautiful? I can't believe it's finally happening, Lily. But you're here, and you did it. I'm so proud of you. Hold still just a second. I'm trying to fix your shoulder strap. I don't know why you insist on wearing your shoulder pauldron today. So why are you wearing the scarf today? Okay, then let me fix your panty line. Good grief, Lily. Mendel, play the bridal march. Quiet, both of you. Give me a minute, guys. I've got to clean this stuff up first. Time to shine, Lily. It's made of honor, Lily. That's my Lily. We're on our way. That's quite an honor. We don't have to fabricate a new tank. There's one at the old Shoal propane branch about a half day east of here that would do the job. There's probably leaks at the weld points after this long, but we can patch those from the inside and it will pressurize just fine. Sorry, Lily. We're here now. You're right. No more work talk. Rizzo, welcome to the diner. We usually do this for dinner night, but we moved it up for the wedding. I hope you like it. You make anything special for the menu today, DP? Yeah, those were beautiful, weren't they? No more rewiring Wellingham to steal his pepper. All the same, the sheriff is right. I hear back from settlers a lot, relatively speaking, and they, without a single exception, love the beehives. What's that, Lily? It was actually DP's idea. I was talking about how much work it was to split off hives just to let them die off because we have no more room. And he suggested I start giving them out to settlers along with the training on how to use them. But you're right, it was one hell of an idea. More than you'd ever know, DP. And now you're both stuffing your faces with spaghetti so you don't have to answer. Actually, it seems everyone is shoveling spaghetti into their mouths so they don't have to talk. Dare I ask? I'm proud you at least tried to not torture them like a psychopath this time, Lily. What made you think it was railroad? Really? Do tell, Lily. That's okay, Lily. I was just curious more than anything. Let's hope it keeps leaving you guys alone out there. Glimpses? What is it, a chameleon or something? Over 1 kilometer long? Fascinating. Could you get a blood sample for me? Thank you, Rizzo. I'm just glad everyone is okay. Other than the gunners, I mean. Those must have been some pretty impressive fireworks. I bet Rizzo would like to hear what you guys got up to in the Mass Pike Tunnel when you got back from the Atom Cat's garage. I can't believe it's finally happening, Lily, but you're here, and you did it. I'm so proud of you. I want to point out that was not my idea either. Actually, the sheriff had that idea. I have a hard enough time fighting off weeds. No, that makes perfect sense. Now this, I've got to hear. Someone who causes so much pain to others, particularly to you, Lily, meeting the justice they had coming is rare in this world. Am I happy you found your peace? Yes, very much so. Am I happy you talked about that over food? Not so much. But I'm still happy you found peace. But you did, make sure it would never happen again, right? I suppose I should set aside some more queens and frames to help those guys get their hives going again if it worked that well. They were some of the first settlers to take my beekeeping classes and start their own hives. They raved about the bump in crop yield. It'll only be a matter of time until I hear from them again. Congratulations, you two! I'm so happy for you! Crazy old man Adamite in flimsy robes? Oh, lucky you guys. Let me guess, he decided you were the message he was waiting for? Well, I'm glad to hear that. Attacking my greenhouse was just totally out of bounds and uncalled for. How odd. Did you guys find what you were looking for in there? This gunner with no sense of irony? It's okay, Lily. This is your wedding day. Let's talk about something else. Nobody would believe us anyway. Oh my God, Lily! No, I mean the... You know what? Never mind. I don't want to know. How is that even possible? They don't offer that to just anyone, believe me.
Hi, DP. Yes, please. How are you today? I agree with you on that. I wish the sheriff would watch over them better. They're not just a reliable source of power armor, they're worth protecting. You make a good point. There's only so far a patrol can push out there before they've got nothing covering their backs. They should be fine as long as the Institute doesn't decide to turn them into the next university point. Loose lips sink ships, DP. Hardly. It's to condense iron-rich microbeads coated with high-avidity molecules based on specific application. Generally, I use it to isolate, purify, and concentrate cellular fractions without the need for larger equipment and refrigeration units. Neodymium iron boron. Button it up now, Lily. Right now, we've got to stick to Piper's unofficial strategy. We delegitimize McDonough and then get him out of office.
Oh, there you are. I've been waiting for you to get back. We've had a development regarding the hunt for Lenny. Lieutenant Crenshaw found him hiding in the sewers by Goodneighbor. He's tracking him and keeping in radio contact. The sheriff didn't wait for reinforcements. She got in her power armor and headed out about an hour ago. We're listening to the radio chatter between her and Crenshaw, and it looks like Lenny found out he's being trailed and is heading to Good Neighbor. He's probably going to try to let Good Neighbor arrest him, hide behind their independent streak, and hope they won't hang him. All the more reason to get over there and get to him first. You know what the sheriff will do to him. There's no stopping that now. But if he's got any useful information in that head of his, we need to get it out before Good Neighbor hangs him or the sheriff flips out on him. She'd never admit it, but the sheriff loves Lily dearly. I've never seen her this mad before, or at all for that matter. I'm afraid she's not going to let relations with Good Neighbor stand in her way of killing him on their turf. Please, you have to get over there as fast as you can. Try to calm her or the guards down. Prevent some sort of incident.
Sorry, just trying to help. So what brings you to Diamond City? That Pip-Boy of yours is hard to miss, so I've got to ask if you're from a vault like me. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Forgive me. We can change the subject. All the same, I'm sorry to hear about your son. I hope you find him. Yes. Yes, I would. Vault Tech did all sorts of unethical and even brutal experiments on their vault residents from what I've pieced together. My vault got lucky. As far as I know, they just gave my ancestors the deal they signed up for. It's no surprise at all you were cryogenically frozen. It's a small miracle you're still alive and weren't ground up into food for other residents or some other twisted social experiment. As for your son, that's just what the Institute does. They kidnap us, usually to replace us with a synth, for no logical purpose I can deduce. Your choice. It's just as well, we're a pretty close family here. Not familiar with the place firsthand, but there's a lot of burnout towns around here with only a handful of people in each. Agreed. One can assume the sample was to refine third-generation synth fidelity. We'd be interested in hearing your account of what happened. It could help our efforts to detect synths and stop the kidnappings.
Where's Lily? I've got some caps for both of you when you're done ending those beehive raiders. Hi, guys. Please tell me it's done? You took care of them? Please go put a stop to that raider gang I told you about. I can't stand the thought that they're using slaves to work beehives I gave to settlers. The Scourge? Ha, you're funny. That's so cute. Why do you think the raiders call you that? You know, someone's got to keep this entire operation in water and caps, Lily. And do work for the sheriff, and conduct her own research, and develop non-lethal methods to test for synths. You did? That's wonderful news. Oh, please hurry. Those people are getting worked to death. Unfortunately, I only heard through DP, who heard from Padlock. I wasn't able to ask Padlock the details myself. I've told you everything I know. Oh, that's such a relief. And Lily, you know. That's okay, Lily. I'm a vault rat, not a fighter. I wouldn't last 10 minutes out there. You're right. Honestly, I haven't left the city in months. I'm already preparing replacements for Padlock to take to them when he leaves. They'll get frames, nukes, and queens to make it self-sufficient again. Here, you guys earned this today.
That sounds like fun, once you get good control of that contraption, I mean. Remember, you've never driven one before. I'd think before taking the new one out, you can probably expect to crash a few times before you get the hang of it. Indeed. Just be careful out there. It's super mutant and raider turf.
Hi there. You got my letter? Please, go find Lily and come back with her. I need you two for something urgent. There you guys are. I've got an emergency. It's something the two of you can handle, and I need people I can trust to do it. I don't know exactly. DP didn't ask him. All I know is they're somewhere way up north of Concord. Padlock told him he was going to finish trading in the infield and come back to the Slocums in right field for a bite. Maybe you can find him there. I knew that's what this would come down to. You can't reason with raiders. They only understand one thing. Here, I bought this off Whitworth when I heard. Leave this there for me. I need this message to be loud and clear. Oh, Lily, it's awful. I gave some settlers some queen bees and taught them how to care for hives. I thought they could use the help and caps. But Padlock was just talking to DP and told him that some raiders had hit the settlement after they found out about it. It's worse than that, Lily. They leveled the settlement and kidnapped the settlers, forcing them to work the hives so the raiders can sell everything. I can't stand the thought of something I did causing all that pain. You need to go free them, please. Please. Be careful out there, you two. I'm sorry, the greenhouse isn't open for business right now. I had to start keeping strict hours when customers were knocking on my door at midnight.
I'm sorry, the greenhouse isn't open for business right now. I had to start keeping strict hours when customers were knocking on my door at midnight. Of course. As you know, losing Lily is still a pretty fresh wound with us. I'm not sure if we'll ever recover, to be honest. DP may have been the serendipitous founder of the Bleachers, but she was in every way the face and heart of our little community. Yes, we spoke with the sheriff, and she didn't say no before she walked away without a word. That's all the approval anyone gets from her. The only condition is we'd like you to keep it the way it was until Rizzo has a chance to come by and collect her things. Well, then, I guess you'll be needing this key. DP will let the city know to reassign the mailbox to you. Can you do me one last favor and remember Lily when you use that room? It would mean a lot to us.
Thanks again for getting that mass spectrometer. Your efforts will figure prominently in my report to the sheriff.
There's a long incubation time on the next analysis I'm running. I'll let you know if I have work for you once it's done. Might I suggest you rethink Lily's request for help before she leaves for the Atom Cat's garage in Quincy in the meantime? I'm sorry anyone has to tell me, but that brings me to my next point. You went out with her twice on very dangerous trips across Boston, she said. And I have to admit, they were obviously very personal missions for her. Motorcycles and dogs occupied a special place in her heart. For her, too. She's always had a strong personality, but when she came back from freeing those dogs with you, I had never seen her so happy. Yes, really. But to the point. We talked about it, and DP and I feel that Lily would want you to have her room, workbenches and all. I was over in the sheriff's work office today in one of our meetings. I saw something today I've never seen or heard of. Ever. Crumbs save me. One of the visitors to the greenhouse started poking around the beehive today and got what they deserved. Indeed it is. It makes me very glad I moved to Diamond City whenever I hear about life back in Vault 81. Welcome back. Are you here to trade, relax, or do you have some questions? Hello again. Did you need anything? Our traveler returns. Want to hear about my work? It should only take the next 2 hours. Good to see you again. I just did a harvest. I've got plenty to trade. Welcome back to the Centerfield greenhouse. Can I help you with something? The vault mechanicals are still falling apart. It's not going to cave in on them, but they're having issues even keeping the lights on these days. The same as it ever was. Born and die in the same vault. Clean but cut off from the world. Unchanging. Oh, that's so sweet. Thanks, DP. Hello, DP. I'm very hungry today. I'd love some lunch. Yes, it's gotta be in here somewhere. Just keep looking. I swear sometimes these vines grow too fast to keep up. Did you try between the brain fungus and the blight over there on the left? There's a place on the rocks I usually put the supplements. It can't hurt you, Lily. It's just a highly evolved species of Gyromitra esculenta that coordinates supplement distribution in the greenhouse. Oh, you know what? Come to think of it, there was a ring on it. Look for the reflection of the luminescence off the metal. Hello, neighbor. Anything I can help you with? Nice to see a familiar face. What brings you to my greenhouse? I hope that room fits your needs. What can I do for you? I know I left it down here somewhere. Great! Thanks, Lily. That would have started smelling pretty awful in another day or so. Yes, Lily?
Thank you all for coming to pay your respects to our friend and family member, Lily. I can only speak for myself and DP, but we haven't been able to think about much else since the loss. So I thought it would be nice to share some of the good things we remembered about her, instead of only dwelling on how much we hurt. I think we can all agree that Lily would want us to remember her with a smile. DP, you knew her longer than anyone, since she was almost a baby. Why don't you tell us something about her?
If that Pip-Boy means you're from a vault, I might be interested in purchasing your iron-rich blood to nourish my plants. Unless, of course, you have an issue with blood-sucking thorns wrapped around your forearm for 2 hours. Okay, then. Make sure you don't eat any melons from upstairs until I've had a chance to test why the mole rats that ate them develop... Well, you don't want to hear about those details. Just don't eat the melons from upstairs. Or touch the fever blossoms. Or inhale their scent, either. Come to think of it, it's probably best if you just didn't touch anything or breathe it all while in my greenhouse. Welcome back. Wait, you're not here because you're coughing up glowing mucus from inhaling my spores, are you? You're back, and with a large tank of anhydrous ammonia. Did you find Lily?
Hello. Did Mr. Dr. Pepper's message to find me reach you? I remember the first time I met Lily. It was only the second time I'd ever been to Diamond City. It was also only the second time I'd ever been more than a mile from Vault 81's front entrance. To give you some perspective, the deputies were escorting me around the outside of the city to find somewhere for the greenhouse. Lily was arriving from the garage here with Large Marge, hauling another load of power armor. As you can imagine, a full day's walk with that Brahmin left her... Well, I smelled them a block away. I didn't say anything. I just stared, open-mouthed, as we passed each other. I must have stuck out like a sore thumb. I just assumed she went around like that all the time, and was horrified that a wastelander could live that way. She said something like, "I could get good cap for that juicy, soft vault rat skin of yours," and kept walking, which just scared me even more. Needless to say, that didn't stop us from becoming friends not long after she showered, and we met again in DP's diner that evening. They say you can't choose your family, but I chose Lily. Oh, I'm sorry. I just, this has been a very trying day. What did you need? And that's what Lily is to me. She's my little sister. And this awful world took her from me. And it's so empty without her. That's how the Bleachers operates, yeah. We still haven't found Lenny, the scaver who sold me the info about the mass chem haul. He knows our reputation of settling scores, and he hasn't come back to see me about the status of the tip he gave me, like he always has before. The deputies know who he is and are watching for him. He wouldn't get into Diamond City without us knowing. Since he's avoiding the city, and us, we can only conclude he knows something and doesn't want us to find out what. He's in for a shock if he thinks we're going to forget about this while any of us are still alive. We're posting a bounty for him to be brought to us alive when we get back to the city. Okay. The sheriff is going to escort the three of us back to Diamond City. As you can imagine, we're in very good hands. Maybe we'll see you back there soon? Thank you for coming all the way out here. Not really, no. I still see her face every time I close my eyes. This is something we're all going to need closure on to recover. When the sheriff brought her body back to the Bleachers, we had Dr. Gary do an autopsy on her. That's become common practice with all of our dead. Just to be sure. There were no synth components of any sort that you find on Gen 3 synths present. That only points to one conclusion, unfortunately. That's really Lily in that grave.
Can't remember the last time I killed someone so ugly. I'd tell you to eat shit, but it's more useful to my plants than you. Fresh fertilizer delivered right to me. Some bullets required. My foot up your ass equals mass times acceleration. I've had a pleasant evening, everyone, as always. Thank you for your company tonight. Sleep well. I'll likely see most of you tomorrow. I have to hand it to you, DP. You prepared an excellent meal tonight. This honey was a real treat. Thank you very much. But I'm full, the hour's getting late, and I've got some samples incubating, which means I've got yet more work ahead of me. A 250-year-old farmer, you say? You think maybe I could tag along with you? He's the ghoul at that settlement with the pool you mentioned at dinner the other night, right? Can't say I'm familiar with that name. Who is it? I'd imagine they'd have to be the best around. What did he have to say? If he's been farming for that long, he's a walking book of knowledge. There's got to be so much I can learn from him if he's willing to teach me. That sounds great, DP. I can't wait to meet him.
There you are. Good. I've discovered something that can't wait. Follow me. We need to hurry. Let's go find the sheriff. Come on. Oh. It's okay, Oaks. I won't go past the yellow zone with them. This is important, or I wouldn't be doing this. Of course, Oaks. Thank you. Stick close to me. You don't have clearance back here yet, and bringing you back here isn't normal. Some of these guys are twitchy. Whatever you do, stay in the front area. Don't go beyond the archway, or you'll most likely get shot. Now stick close to me. Finish your business with Oaks first. I've got some important news.
Is there anything else I can help you with, or other questions I can answer? Hello again. Did you need anything? Our traveler returns. You want to hear about my work? It should only take the next 2 hours. Good to see you again. I just did a harvest, so I've got plenty to trade. You get right to the point, don't you? Okay then, let's try to come to some sort of agreement. I helped build it, so I suppose I'm a good one to ask. What would you like to know? That's a shame. My babbling about science is the stuff of legend in Vault 81. Not much to tell. I'm from Vault 81, I love my work, and I use the emergency shower to stay clean. But what would you like to know? Every bit of it. I've got so much going on, I don't know where to start. And I never shut up about it, so ask at your own peril. That's a long story. I'm a Vault 81 refugee, although I wasn't exactly fleeing anything. I was Dr. Penske's apprentice for many years. She's a formidable woman and taught me everything I know about botany and molecular biology. She respected my wishes to work on my own experiments and gave me as much space as she could in her greenhouse. But my vines grow too quickly, and it would only take a few weeks for a fully cut vine to cover a wall and grow right out of the room. As pretty as it was, the situation was untenable. I had to leave the vault to continue my work. Luckily, Dr. Penske and Overseer McNamara see the value in my work and continue to provide facilities I don't have. The vault still has things like an autoclave, protein synthesizer, plasticware fabrication, seed stocks, and media ingredients you'd never find here. Fancy people would say molecular botanist, but in plain words, I specialize in plant DNA, RNA, and protein interactions at the molecular level. As one of the few vaults not screwed over by Vault Tech, we had ample seed stocks and databases to study in anticipation of Reclamation Day. All the courses and materials were there to earn my PhD in the vault, including 2 doctors. With Scara and Duff, I had my PhD committee. My research defense mostly confused the vault, but my committee understood it enough and recognized its value, so they granted my doctorate. I am very proud of this lab. My career in this greenhouse are a result of the time and sacrifice of many people. Both Diamond City and the vault have been very generous in helping me with my research. I really like it here, and I have long-term plans to stay. It's the least I can do to repay the kindness of the citizens. Inasmuch as any settler owns an unoccupied piece of land they claim and work in this abandoned world, then yes. I own this greenhouse, Mr. Dr. Pepper owns his diner, and the Bobrov brothers own the Dugout Inn. The city, citizens, and security recognize my claim. That makes it as official as it gets around here. It's better than a 200-year-old empty husk with a collapsed second floor, which is how I found the place. Ugh. Shane Kowalski's water is contaminated, even though he denies it. I had to purify my own water for the plants. I even used the shower by the door. Scara helped me design the large-scale electrolytic purifiers you see outside. We got most of the materials from Vault 81 junk piles. Luckily, most of the pipework from the original stadium survived, so water is easy to transport from the pond in the stadium. Abbott, the Bobrovs, and Mr. Dr. Pepper did the heavy lifting. Much of the town has been very friendly to me, and I'm very grateful. That's a good question. The first time I circled Diamond City looking up, it was obvious where to put the greenhouse with all these windows. But when Abbott opened the door to this room for me, the floor was collapsed to the ground. Nobody had been in here for over 200 years. Mr. Dr. Pepper and his friends worked for 2 weeks to fill in the pit with soil from below the stadium foundation and then level the floor for me. It was expensive, but Cricket located more intact glass to fill in all the broken windows and some old metal stairs for the loft already up there. I honestly can never repay the citizens of this city for all the kindness that they've shown this vault rat who just wants to do her research. Don't tell the Overseer or Dr. Penske I said this, but I like it here much more than the vault. There's so much more space and freedom. I've got my own lab, new friends, a suitor, I see new people every day, and I don't have to ration my shower water when I stand under a spout. I could see myself calling this place home for a good long while. Oh, of course! I don't get to teach biology lessons very often. Dr. Penske always said, the best way to learn is to teach. Mostly plants for my research, but also cotton for the city. My ultimate goal is to develop a plant which can grow many types of food on one vine. If the flowers are to be believed, it's definitely possible. These plants are amazingly resilient and accommodating to new genetic information. They grow rapidly and adapt their transport mechanism to distribute nutrients in an optimal manner. Look at the supplemental nutrients drawn in and spread from the left corner, upstairs and across, and then down to the plants in the right corner. Yes, a biology lesson. I'm so glad you asked for one. Plants don't react to chromosomal aberrations the same way animals do. They're quite tolerant of them and can react in surprising ways. Take the fern flower, for instance. Before the war, a flowering fern didn't exist. A fern isn't an angiosperm. It evolved long before flowers. This massive level of genetic change in only 200 years required the radiation from the war to catalyze it. Given the high levels of ambient ionizing radiation in the world these days, I cannot rule out an entirely new mechanism for genetic recombination. I'm testing my new theory that perhaps there's yet another life cycle involved. That of a fungus. Fungal reproduction is very odd indeed. During sexual reproduction, the nuclei of two organisms share cells, nutrients, and grow in the same body. But they remain distinctly genetically separate until sporulation. They share the same body, but are two different genomes. It is, isn't it? They grow outwards, and the other vines were attracted to the nutrients. Before, the glow was hardly noticeable. But I watched as the vines cooperated and spread the nutrients to every corner of the greenhouse, from that one corner all the way over to the other one. The vines slowly amplified their glow like a bright wave spreading out. The next flowers to germinate possessed the bioluminescent properties from the vines. It was so beautiful, I had to bring Professor Scara to show her. My first projects under Dr. Pensky were to introduce bioluminescent substrate and enzyme marker genes from vault freezer luciferase plasmids. I cultivated them right outside the entrance to Vault 81, because space in our vault is at a premium, so using it to grow food is more important. They mutated so fast that they began to use the new genes in their own growth cycles as some sort of quorum activation signal. With sharp eyes, you could see their dim light pulse in sync with separate vines around them and release luminescent pollen together. The few samples I grew inside the vault didn't experience the same changes. They acted as I expected, stubborn to change. I hypothesized it was the ionizing background radiation outside the vault that accelerated their evolution. Later, I was to find some of those same vines outside the vault growing and feeding on mole rat carcasses, which made them grow even faster. Their tendrils would intertwine with each other and pass on the nutrition, like feeding a colony. It was amazing to watch. I saw flower buds of different colors and species growing from the same vines. Here it was. The vine had adopted entire organ systems. Honestly, the blight discovery was serendipity. I got lucky. But chance favors the prepared mind, no? I hypothesized something in the blight is allowing for multiple nuclei to exist harmoniously in the same body, together but remaining apart. Part of a fungal life cycle involves such a phenomenon. Nuclei from separate organisms grow in the same fruiting body, even in the same cells. Sorry, I have my own courier I trust with my life. And nothing personal? I don't even know you.
We're going to collect data, which is where I come in. Years ago, when we started digging under Diamond City for the soil to fill the greenhouse, we realized the void could double as a cistern. But it would only suffice as a cistern if we dug to the right location. We had to look underground before we even broke ground to know where. To do this, I borrowed a piece of equipment from Vault 81, As I explained at the time, it wasn't a lawnmower then, and it isn't a lawnmower now, Lily. It's a ground-penetrating radar, or GPR for short. Actually, we have the radar already. Scouts went over and picked it up from McNamara yesterday. Her rental fee wasn't cheap. More to the point, I tried to teach the brightest FSD personnel to use it, but it's not possible in the short time frame we have. The software to run it is just too complicated. I had plenty of time to learn to use it in Vault 81, which means I'm going to have to do it. There's no other way, Lily. I've only fought plant pests. Believe me, I don't want to do this either. But the intel is hot. We have to act, and fast. Of course, Dan. Apologies. All right, people, here's the situation. As I just mentioned to Lily, the plan is to make a map of the subsurface beneath the CIT building in Cambridge. To do this, we'll be using the GPR. Unfortunately, the Institute is probably far too deep for standard GPR to map. So we're going to need to modify the device and collection procedure for our purposes. However, this is nothing I haven't done before. I used the same method to map out far below Diamond City, letting us find good soil for the greenhouse and a solid granite void for the cistern. However, there are big catches to the plan. First, I have to do this, because as I said, the software package is too complex to teach quickly. Then there's the method of collection. The GPR has to remain still and hooked to a worksite fusion generator for a period of time to read that deep. And finally, we only get one shot at this, and we need good coverage, so I'll be taking at least 3 individual readings as a sitting duck. Being out there is certainly not my first choice. I'm no fighter. I only know how to fire a pistol because McNamara forced me to learn. Hello. I was just talking to Lily. Hey, guys. What's going on?
Sure, what would you like to know about? I can talk about my work forever. Of course, I don't get much conversation from my coworkers. That's botany humor. Fresh harvest just this morning. Let's see if we can make a trade. Let me know if you scav any large chemical batches out there. I might buy them. I'm always buying irradiated blood and fertilizer. What the sheriff is trying to say is nobody knows where it actually is. Her scouts have been Of course, that was careless of me. Apologies. I agree, they make no sense. I can't figure out a motivation that squares with the actions they take as a whole. Neither can the sheriff. It's almost like the kidnappings were a poorly thought out plot device wedged into a nebulous story by someone who thought it would just work. It would be comical if they weren't an existential threat. Scared, confused, angry, hostile, suspicious, whatever they're feeling about it at the particular time. It's not good. As you just heard, I'm not at liberty to discuss Plan B. The less you know, the safer you are from the Institute. Well, yes, in this case, incompetence would apply too. I suppose it is possible the Witless can be such an unwitting puppet of a hostile power that it can appear like full cooperation. It's called a scrotum, sis. Behemoth scrotum. Huh? What is?
Oh, there you are. Good. I've discovered something that can't wait. Follow me. We need to hurry. Let's go find the sheriff. Come on. Oh. It's okay, Oaks. I won't go past the yellow zone with them. This is important, or I wouldn't be doing this. Of course, Oaks. Thank you. Stick close to me. You don't have clearance back here yet. Bringing you back here is highly irregular. Some of these guys are twitchy. Whatever you do, stay in the front area. Don't go beyond the archway, or you'll most likely get shot. Now stick close to me. Just follow me and I'll get started. You're not the only one involved. We need to gather the others. It's about Lily. We have to hurry. This is something we need to get ahead of if we can. There's no telling where she is. Sheriff, I need you out here. This is urgent. Oh, to put it one way, DP, our test takes a fingerprint of the isotope ratio in a sample to determine origin. Yes. They wanted us to think Lily was dead, to move on and not look for her. Because she's friends with a lot of us. We've been tracking data from synth locations and energy bursts, and we're close to finding out... Yes, sorry. But this is... Well, just listen. So, you know how I assembled the GCMS we recovered? And I was telling you about the GC-IRMS test. DP, I tested some of Lily's tissue I had in storage from her autopsy with our new test. And that's not Lily. Whatever is in Lily's grave isn't Lily. It was grown in the Institute. The signature is a spot-on match for Gen 3 synth samples I've tested, and a lot cleaner. I don't know why it didn't have any synth parts, DP. Probably because it never needed to be conscious. My aim was to develop a test for Gen 3 synths that didn't require deactivating suspects first. But the way the test works, I can track where a person grew up, how long they spent drinking water from certain locations. For example, Sheng Kowalski's contaminated water leaves a very specific isotope ratio. I could test you and tell that you grew up drinking that crap, and then sometime more recently began drinking the water in center field. My sample would show I grew up drinking water and eating food grown with Vault-Tec purified water. The sheriff, she has an entirely different signature, from the Capital Wasteland and Pennsylvania. But Lily's sample was Institute, and effectively free of contaminating isotopes. It wasn't just a synth body, it was a brand new synth body. Lily knows us, Crenshaw. They want to know what Lily knows. Yes. If it exists, no doubt they want what's in her head. She may still be alive. We need to find her. Please hurry. The Institute'll kill Lily when they're done with her. It's what they do. I lost her once. I can't go through it again. Are those needles in her temples? What were they doing to you, my dear Lily? Oh, Lily. Right away. Let's get her in.
Yes, his tips have been reliable so far. I agree, I don't trust him, but it's not in his best interest to sell bad tips if he wants repeat business. On the other hand, he's probably sold the information to other parties too. You've seen it happen before. Don't waste too much time getting there. If Sheng Kowalski's water is safe, I'll put DP's hat on my head and eat it without using my hands. That smug kid is a public menace. I appreciate Myrna's caution, but at the same time, is her rampant paranoia about synth replacements giving the Institute exactly what it wants? I like Arturo, though his singular mind about guns can get annoying. But I suppose he's just trying to provide for his daughter here in the city. I'm not sure what Sheffield's problem is, but this soda addiction thing has been playing out in his head for far too long. He needs to find himself a good therapist. Not that they exist anymore.
They were right. I wasn't good. I thought you were dead. I didn't eat or sleep very much, and we haven't had dinner night since. It was just too painful without you. GCIRMS. He's right. The sheriff pushed me and gave me the room to set it up. Your friend got the parts, and I ran the tests. Well, look who just popped in. Lily's protector. I know the sheriff wanted me to give you the orientation, but Lily here is feeling well enough, and she insisted on doing it. Stay safe, sis. Oh, my dear Lily, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry this happened to you. That's exactly it, Lily. You were all I could think about when the sheriff greenlit the plan to get one. The sheriff too, but she'd never admit it. That's fine. The sheriff, Lieutenant Dan, and I have a lot of work for all the telemetry Crenshaw gathered.
John gives good haircuts, but it's not worth hearing him bicker with his mother through the whole thing. It gets old quickly. I prefer to get my haircuts by Horatio back at Vault 81. It gives me an excuse to visit the vault and keep up good relations. I heard from John at the super salon, yes. Is it true? Did they wipe out the entire settlement, kids and all? That's awful. Has anyone heard what they're doing there? Were they looking for something? I'm not sure what Kathy's job at Super Salon is, but I suspect it's browbeating her son and accusing random people of being synths. I suppose that's what happens when you live and raise your son in a literal hole in the ground. I like Dr. Sun's initiative. Not just any person will cut you open on a table with only a 200-year-old textbook at their side to guide them. Dr. Crocker is a person to be avoided. I'm pretty sure he's a chemhead and shoots up before his patients go under the knife. Solomon is honest about himself, if nothing else. Dr. Sun will give you chems under the auspices of rationally applied medical therapeutics. But Solomon makes no pretense about the purpose of what he sells, or that his advice doesn't come from academia. I wish someone would fix Takahashi. That robot must have some interesting stories to tell. Professor Skara has tried, but it's beyond her skills. Professor Skara is a brilliant woman. I'm glad her field is robotics, or I might be out of a job. Dr. Duff is kind of flighty, but her outreach keeps the citizens supporting Professor Skara and I. Good communication of intent and results to the public is a very overlooked area of science in which she excels. I can't help but think Miss Edna would be more valuable if repurposed for something other than keeping its 3 eyes on the school kids. Mr. Zwicky has them well in hand, and many parts of this city are in desperate need of maintenance or even outright repair that it could do. Mr. Zwicky is a very capable teacher, but I do worry about him as I've never seen him outside the schoolhouse. What does he even eat? Polly's good at what she does, which is butchering meat. She's not so good at preservation and spoilage control, despite having that cooler. Thankfully, DP adjusted his pickup time to first thing in the morning when she pulls it from the cooler, before she leaves it out all day. There's something I don't understand about the Bobrov brothers, and that's the accent. It makes no sense for anyone from here to have one. How was this accent preserved for over 200 years? Extreme reclusiveness and rampant nuclear family inbreeding? I'm baffled. Henry Cook doesn't like us much down here. DP upstaged that supposedly fancy bar, which is objectively a dump, and brought price competition. How that rat's nest ever got the reputation as being an exclusive establishment for the upper stand socialites is beyond me. I heard about Lily stomping her power armor through the bleachers with a motorcycle engine strapped to it. Was it you that helped her? She's borderline paranoid about strangers down here. If she trusts you, then yeah, I have some work for you. Not too bad. I spoke to Carla today. She was selling stuff back at the vault earlier this week. Lily's talking about painting a mural on that bit of rusty corrugated metal wall in the greenhouse. I can't wait to see what she comes up with. Mendel came with me from Vault 81. He was a doctoral defense gift from Dr. Pensky and served her well for many decades. He's invaluable to my work. Did you see Twisted Mister's employee uniform hat? Mendel got jealous, so I made him that wreath from the greenhouse plants. He's very happy with it. Have you noticed there aren't enough kids in Diamond City to sustain the population? People better get busy or there's going to be problems soon.
Most of Wright Field was on duty during the funeral. Something Lily would have understood. At least Luna was able to come.
Lily said the Codmans enjoyed making his life miserable as a child, so I guess it's understandable he's a bit territorial about the diner. I thawed the bees from cryopreserved stocks in Vault 81. It took a lot of convincing McNamara to let me take them, but she finally relented. There was a big risk that I wouldn't be able to maintain the colony having no experience, but it's been some years now, and I froze new swarms. McNamara and Penske were pleased with the return on their investment. Now I'm trying to coax them to swarm back into the wild next time. Hi there, DP. Yeah, some dinner would be Ooh, is that the soda fountain you were describing earlier? Ugh, busy. More extractions today. I've been using it so much, I'm getting worried about my centrifuge bearings. Yeah, we've gathered quite the pile of old centrifuges at Vault 81 over the decades. There's no doubt some bearings in there that I can salvage. Speaking of worn-out bearings, was I tired, or did I really see Lily stomping through the corridor with a motorcycle strapped to her T60? Oh, good for her. I know she's had her eye on that for a while, but the place was infested with raiders. I'm glad she pulled it off. Sometimes I feel like I missed out growing up in the vault instead of Diamond City with how long you've known all the people here. But then I take a look at our respective estimated lifetime radiation doses thus far, and I feel better all of a sudden. Thank you, DP. It smells delicious. Of course, at the usual time. Just sit with me a while. I can't help thinking about her, and I don't want to be alone when I do. It makes me a bit uneasy how railroad agents are dealt with on the spot, but at the same time, they're every bit as dangerous as the Institute. All they do is propagate rogue synths and paranoia of them, and to what end? Another broken mask. I remember. You're right, of course. I guess I feel partly responsible, all the planning I've helped her with against the Institute. We all know retiring the synths one at a time is just playing whack-a-commie in the long run. It gives us no choice. Root and stem. Oh, what's that? Sounds good. Just let me know when. Thanks, DP. You're right. These bees are extremely important for the settlers and their agriculture. Vault 81 needs viable stocks for the future. You know, I can't believe I never thought of that. That's a great idea, DP. It would increase yield, biodiversity, and provide them with a commodity. I've been so focused on paying the vault back for everything that I lost sight of why I'm here in the first place. Mm-hmm. It looks pretty badass, speaking as a scientist. You look happy. I'll bite. What's the reason? Evening, DP. Had another meeting with the sheriff today. Too many ears now for details, but you'll be happy to know the railroad's taken several massive hits recently. Huh, something like that, yeah. Lily would have said they got aired out real well from what we know. Don't be too happy, though. The sites they found were crawling with synths. The Institute must have executed a coordinated attack to maximum effect. As good as it is to have fewer people dumping synths on our streets, it means the Institute is getting stronger, slowly but surely. There you go with another great idea. Those farmers won't come all the way out here unless they're serious about those bees. And if they're serious enough to come out here for a colony, they won't mind sitting still to get some know-how on how to maintain one. Oh, DP, I'm so excited to start this now I can hardly stand it. I can't wait to talk to Carla at the gate tomorrow. Thank you so much for the idea. Of course, Abernathy Farm, right? The potatoes Carla sells you for your sauce come from there originally, if I remember correctly. Oh no, those poor parents. How big was their family? What was her name? How old was she? Oh, DP, I'm so sorry. Maybe you should take a trip up there to see them? Show them you're thinking about them. I'll go with you if you want. Us, DP. They'll be escorting us. I told you I'd go with you. I can see this is bugging you. You need a friend there. Good evening, DP. Yeah, undoubtedly. It wouldn't be the first time you met another courier at the same hall, both working on the same tip from Lenny. But we've never had problems with batch chemicals. I can't imagine there's that many people interested in anhydrous ammonia. Well, maybe extra smart raiders making chems, but Lenny isn't exactly brave enough to deal with that sort. He's afraid of Mr. Sphincter, after all. Did it smell bad, Lily? That's a yes if I ever heard one. Not even a behemoth scrotum could stop her. No, I'll be holding that over your head for a good long while. That's a yes if I ever heard one. Ugh, all green, hairy, and slimy like that? The smell alone would kill most things. Did it smell bad, Lily? Speaking of things that make us all hungry. Professor Scara told me about her once. That was her assessment as well. Lizzie could have done some truly great things, but had some serious demons. I believe it. She didn't mention that, no. Scapegoating a fringe minority is a time-honored tradition of weak politicians everywhere, DP. Of course I remember. That sounds delicious, DP. Thanks for going to so much trouble. Really? Now this I'm interested in hearing. I agree. I've never been able to talk to more than 2 in my life. It's amazing what they have to say if you just listen.
Thanks again for coming to the funeral. It's a tough time around here with Lily gone, but we're trying to cope. The funeral really helped with that. I know a lot of right field wanted to be there, but protecting Diamond City is more important. At least Luna was able to make it. She and Lily were good friends. It meant a lot that she was there. Normally, I'd welcome the distraction from constantly thinking about Lily. But it's been too much recently. I'd prefer not to talk. Welcome back. Did you find the GCMS? I mean that this is only half of the functional GCMS. You got the first part, the gas chromatography, but we still need the mass spectrometer. That means we're not done here. Well, since both parts are necessary, I assumed they would be found together and in the same condition. I know you don't want to hear this, but you're being paid very well for the job. I'm gonna need you to get back out there and find a mass spec. You've got the mass spectrometer itself, right? Wow, that looks just like the pre-war catalog. Give me just a little time to inspect this, make sure everything we need is there or can be repaired. Looks like all the seals and connections are intact at first glance. The detector itself has no moving parts. This might just work for us. I can't stress how important this item is to us. Good luck out there. You've got the pyrolyzer and chromatography components, I assume? Nothing I haven't told you already. This is a very important mission, with the no questions asked caveat. I mean that this is only half of the functional GCMS. You got the mass spectrometer. And while that is essential for analyzing samples, we won't have samples without the gas chromatography parts to purify and inject them. So that's really it, isn't it? This is a big relief. I have to admit, I didn't think the chances were very good, but it was too important not to try. It's going to take a lot of work to get this thing running, but it's definitely possible. I'll need to consult Professor Scara for help on this one. But for now, I've got a large bag of caps for you right here. I'll make sure the sheriff knows it was you who pulled this off. I apologize again for not being able to tell you anything about it. Maybe someday, depending on the results I get. Well, since both parts are necessary, I assumed they would be found together and in the same condition. I know you don't want to hear this, but you're being paid very well for the job. I'm going to need you to find the chromatography half for this.
Hello, stranger. Welcome to the Centerfield Greenhouse. I'm Dr. McClintock, botanist and owner. Is there anything I can help you with? Welcome back. Here to trade, relax, or do you have some questions? A variety of items grown in my greenhouse. I am also buying normal and irradiated blood packs, as well as fertilizer. I studied under Dr. Penske in Vault 81 for many years, and am now conducting my own research into polyhybridation and forced evolution of plants. The Centerfield Greenhouse is where I conduct my research into ionizing radiation on plant life. I'm trying to understand and harness the consequences of the increased genetic plasticity found in them since the war. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about it. I like the idea of the Minutemen. From what I'm told, they were once a force to be reckoned with, and allied closely to Diamond City. Times are different now. They seem to be the punchline of a joke about what happens when you stick your neck out for the Commonwealth. I heard they were effectively wiped out in Quincy by the Gunners not long ago. A sad end, really. The good side does not always win, it seems. I'll have to admit, they're not great at conversation, but the Sheriff's Department has kept us very safe since their inception. The Sheriff is an outcast. She was raised by and to be one of the Brotherhood of Steel in the Capital Wasteland. Her unit abandoned them some time ago. I'm told she worked as a caravan guard after her unit was killed in the wastes. Time and circumstance brought her to us during an ambush on the city. She took the city's best guards and molded them into a remarkably effective urban combat team. They established a perimeter outside the wall and became known as the Fens Sheriff's Department, fueled primarily by whiskey and cigars. I sleep very well knowing her snipers dot the rooftops around Diamond City. They say even rats have a hard time entering the Fens alive. A greenhouse, a lab, a farm, a place to relax. It's a lot of things. You're gonna have to be more specific. I love it here. I have a lab, a clean bed, a shower, and a suitor who cooks for me. Not many people can say that. I'm lucky. But something tells me you had something more specific in mind? I've never met one. From what I'm told of their hierarchy in society, they must have a high coefficient of inbreeding. From what I know, they're little better than very successful gunners who sleep with their cousins and won't kill you if you give them what they want. The sheriff used to be one of them, but she went AWOL with her squad for reasons that aren't mine to discuss. She knows Latin, advanced military strategy, and has her finger on the pulse of her troops, making her a formidable commander. Brotherhood education has to be top-notch, if nothing else. but the tribalism they exhibit is antithetical to their stated purpose of saving humanity. They make no sense, and that frightens me. What are they trying to do by replacing us? Surely they can march over this city with a robot army, but they just replace us with sterile copies that can snap at any second. I agree that McDonough is one of them, but why replace any of us at all? I can't extrapolate any sort of logic from synth replacements. Nobody benefits, opinion is only solidified against them, and no agenda is advanced. That's what truly scares me about the Institute. Stunning technology aside, I can't figure out their fundamental motivation. Both the sheriff and I spend long hours Apologies. You'll forgive me, but I shouldn't be talking about such things with outsiders, of course. Well, that's a bit complicated, but Piper would be the one to talk to. She's got her finger on the pulse of the city, so to speak. People are very worried about the Institute right now, and rightly so. It's very real, and so are the kidnappings. I've seen replicates myself. Mayor McDonough doesn't seem particularly interested in stopping the Institute either, which just adds to the paranoia he's one of them.
If this all goes well, we will have neutralized the railroad headquarters and none of us will have stepped foot inside it. So listen carefully. The headquarters is well fortified, but it has a major weak spot that has been overlooked until now. It is close to water and below sea level. In the heart of a major city, this means the tunnel is an old pipe chase, and its proximity to water means there is a storm sewer main in it. Lieutenant Dan consulted Public Works blueprints we scabbed years ago and found that to be the case here as well. We don't know which tunnel they use, but all of them have storm mains, and nearly all of them have a length of at least one wall against the ocean. Storm sewers were built to carry excess rainwater to the ocean without overloading the sewer system and can handle very large volumes of water. They work passively because the city and main are higher than the ocean. This is no longer necessarily true as sea levels have risen since the war. At high tide, the sea levels are nearly as high as the street, reversing the flow of the storm mains and bringing ocean water into the system. The plan is to simultaneously blow the main entrance, escape route, and the storm sewer main at high tide. A broken storm main with the pressure of the ocean behind it will fill their headquarters in a matter of a couple of minutes, with them trapped inside. If we can find and blow a wall against the open ocean, we estimate the headquarters will fill in less than a minute.
Lieutenant Crenshaw is heading up this operation. Whitworth has supplied him with several seismic charges.
They will be more than sufficient to collapse both routes and fully fracture any large water main in the tunnel. Finding a wall of the tunnel to open to the ocean is a target of opportunity. Take it if it presents itself. Blow the charges, then wait.
Thank you, Dan.
The railroad HQ is located in the catacombs below the Old North Church not far from the shoreline, at the end of the, bright red trail. The main entrance is accessed through the basement of the North Church itself, but, more importantly, it has an alternative escape route. This route leads to a door in the foundation of the house immediately north of where Lily's friend Pickman lives, only meters from the ocean. The railroad is almost as paranoid as we are, and they rely on these escape routes as their plan B. They have no plan C as far as we can tell.
Well, that's a bit complicated, but Piper would be the one to talk to. She's got her finger on the pulse of the city, so to speak. People are very worried about the Institute right now, and rightly so. It's very real, and so are the kidnappings. I've seen replicates myself. As you wish. Nobody will pay you what I will for it, because nobody knows what it is. Enjoy your heavy barrel of low street value. Farms and chemical warehouses are your best bets. Remember, it's very heavy. Good luck. Urea. It'll be found in large sealed drums, most likely by pre-war large-scale farms and chemical warehouses. Excellent! This is integral to proper conditioning of the soil. Here's your payment. I still have more work if you're interested.
Okay, we're good. Let's get the second reading. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm almost finished with this one. We don't have time to worry. I'm done with this reading. One more and we can go. Let's move it. Almost done. I don't know. Now just let me take this fucking reading so we can get out of here alive. Yeah, it's on. Just started the emitter. Give me 20 seconds to finish the reading. Crenshaw? Talk to me, Crenshaw. What's going on? I'm not hearing gunshots out there. I don't know, Lily. Unless... Okay, that's it. I've got the info on this holo. Just keep the jammer running. Maybe we reach far enough down that we hit the other end of that teleporter. Just let me take this reading. Thank you. All of you. Good luck. While the GPR data doesn't give us granular detail, it tells us enough. We were correct in assuming that the Institute is under the CIT campus. The Institute itself is roughly the shape of a round, tall dome about 1 kilometer tall and 1 kilometer wide. The GPR only gave us a rough ping from the bottom of the dome, but it appears to be mostly a void filled with distinct and large architecture. The top of the dome is directly under the marble slab and surprisingly close to the surface, 10 or 20 meters at most, but still below sea level. As one would expect, the amount of cooling required to sustain their operations is considerable. They must deposit all that heat somewhere. There are a number of large ducts in and around the area, most of them unused, but we think we've found an active cooling system. GPR indicates at least 4 extremely large bore pipes running south from the dome and coming to an end at the bottom of the Charles River. The pipes terminate in several large, flat metal structures with a high albedo and surface area at the bottom of the river. Heat exchangers. Odds are good they circulate warm, purified industrial coolant water to the exchangers and return it after it's cooled off. Are you forgetting, Lily? DP said he'd make us a very special meal for a very special occasion. The Brotherhood isn't the only one we made an agreement with.
I can't say I agree with McDonough's ban on ghouls. They're almost all hundreds of years old. So much experience to teach. None of them go feral immediately. There are months of warning signs of slow cognitive decline. This fear is just plain scapegoating. It's gonna be a different life moving forward without Lily. She was the brightest star in the Bleacher family. What'll we do without her? An odd man came into the diner the other week. He claimed some invisible barrier was keeping him from leaving the Boston area. How strange. He said he would see the words, "You cannot go that way," before his eyes, and then could go no further. I assumed he was on Day Tripper. I can see why Piper thinks McDonough is a synth. Actions speak louder than words, and he's all words. Anyone that incompetent is either a hostile operative or is a jet junkie, and I don't see him moving particularly fast. If he doesn't change, more of us are going to go over to Piper's way of thinking. At least she does something. Mr. Dr. Pepper put up all those Nuka Mix lights in the hallways outside and in the outfield. He's crude, but I have to admit, he knows interior decor. Do you hear the crickets? They took up residence in the greenhouse not long after the plants started growing. Insects are true survivors. I like laying in the greenhouse hammock during thunderstorms. You can almost forget what a horrible waste this planet became on some nights. I wanted to name one of my new plants after Lily, but there's kind of a problem with that as the name's already taken. Ass Kicker just doesn't have the same appeal for a flower. Mo Cronin made the mistake of putting his hand on the sheriff's hip once. Just once. That robotic arm of hers can bend a crowbar like a power noodle. She broke every bone in his hand. I've never heard someone scream that loud. Mo regrets that occasion with every handshake he has to make. I don't know if it'll ever fully heal. He could use the constant reminder. Oh my God. My little sister. No. Was it the Raiders like I feared? Boom! Science, bitch! People like you are why I prefer plants. Time to throw a little shade in the greenhouse. Ow! Ugh! No. Please, not that. Thank you. I was holding out hope, but deep down, I knew better. Thanks for bringing back the ammonia, despite it all. I'll need to tell DP about this. He's gonna be heartbroken. He's known her for decades. He was talking about needing someone to do some work for him yesterday at lunch. I told him I'd mention it to you. Maybe go ask him? Just please let me tell him about Lily. It's best if it comes from a friend. That's all I ask. Thank you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I just lost a family member. I need to be alone for a while. Please.
They're dead, Lily. Let me explain. Not long at all. I've got enough water for the greenhouse and the tanks for 2 days. The rest of us immediately have to go into water rationing. That's right, you're not. We sent Crenshaw already. We need you for something else. The sheriff will explain. I'm glad you two are here. We don't have any time to waste. Someone put herbicide in the cistern water. The sheriff is going to explain that part. It's why we needed Lily for your part. Not as bad as it could have been, but still, very bad. Especially if we can't get this resolved in the next day or two. Well, the greenhouse and the bleachers are safe. For now. There is. We have a plan already. Others are out doing their parts right now, but we need Lily for something very specific. The Vault-Tec purifier detected it and immediately shut down the intake. Thankfully, not a single drop made it into the greenhouse. But the entire cistern is contaminated. I need to neutralize it with a treatment before we can turn the pumps back on. No showers, food, or fabric operations. I mean, the water is safe for us and for fabrics. It's an herbicide, not a person-cide. But the entire Bleachers water supply goes through the Vault-Tec purifier and into the same tanks I use for the greenhouse. We don't have a branched water supply. It means we all have the cleanest water outside of any vault, but it also means we draw from the same reserve. You're going to have to use bottled soda instead of the soda fountain, and stop other business. We can't spare water to wash dishes or prep food. The problem is the entire East Wall complex uses between 30 and 40,000 liters of water a day, more during a heat wave. My greenhouse uses about 80% of that. Textile uses 10%, and the remainder is for the diner and the rest of the bleachers and sheriff's department. Thanks, DP. I'm going to cut back the vines today to save water for the cotton and crops. Removing as much gas exchange surface area from the greenhouse as possible can get us a few more days out of our supply. This isn't a problem that can't be fixed, but it's going to take industrial-scale chemical interventions, and it has to happen fast. Unfortunately, the treatment is at Mass Chem, and Lily...
Danny Sullivan is a nice guy and all, but he's a pretty dim bulb. I wish someone more capable was guarding the main gate. I'm not sure if McDonough's a synth, but if he's not, then he's either the dumbest stable genius around or working directly for the Institute. Geneva's so tight-lipped about the mayor's affairs that people are starting to talk about her having an affair with him or being a synth herself. Have you ever tried to talk to her about anything other than housing? You might as well talk to a well-dressed wall. Most of the town knows Abbott has lost his mind. They just give him some green paint and a brush, and he'll paint the same spot on the wall for years. Nat Wright is a lot like her sister. That kind of passion for her work is good on one hand, but on the other, it makes her a target for the Institute. Pastor Clemens has a good con going. Bring the desperate in, tell them you don't care who their imaginary friend is, and then ask for caps. The only thing saving Nick Valentine from an angry mob is that he's the only one who actually investigates the kidnappings. He's done far more than anyone in the mayor's office to help find our missing residents and family members. You think Ann Codman is bad? You should talk to her husband. He refuses to even come down off the upper stands. Says we're filth. Look as hard as you want, you won't find another man living in a corrugated steel shack so impressed with himself as Clarence Codman. Did you know Ellie Perkins grew up in Goodneighbor? That sort of knowledge of the streets makes her ideal to work for Nick's detective agency. We listened to Travis on the radio during lunch. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he changed. He's much more relaxed. Maybe he's on Daddy-O. We listened to Travis on the radio during lunch. I'm not sure who gave him that job, but he needs to consider another line of work. Lily's cat would do a better job as a radio show host. Hey, DP. Have a seat. I'm not going to be great conversation tonight. Hey, DP. Have you seen Lily's murals? She's a very talented artist. I really look forward to what she comes up with each time. I like the sheriff. She doesn't say much, even on Bleachers game nights, but she still comes to them. We must be doing something right. I'm not sure I agree with the rationale behind leaving Dick on display in the Fens Sheriff's Department entrance, but he gets attention. You can't argue with results. Professor Scara says she found plant genes in the synth genome, but I'm not convinced they're not highly conserved ancient genes. She is open with her research, but it's hard to check her data against genomic databases that were wiped out 200 years ago. Not really, given the surrounding soil and the continued use of Sheng's poison. The new topsoil layer, if not already contaminated, soon would be. I just don't have the time to rehabilitate that place. I'm not sure if I want to expose myself to that kind of radiation cleaning it up, either. Thanks, DP. It's too bad, really, but my own work is far more important to feeding the entire Commonwealth. I can't lose sight of the larger goal. Hi, DP. What's that? Yeah. Diamond City took in a few refugees, and predictable, prices went up at the merchants. Did something happen over there? I believe that. A raider would eat his own leg if it didn't hurt. It figures raiders can't even rig a fight correctly. So they got a new leader now, I take it? Finally, some good news trickles out of the wasteland for once. Let's hope nothing can rise from those ashes. I wanted to visit someday. Well, you let me know if you hear anything new about it, okay? Sounds like a tough position to be in. You let me know how things go over there the next time you hear, okay? No, I'll be holding that over your head for a good long while. Not even a behemoth scrotum could stop her. Ugh, all green, hairy, and slimy like that, the smell alone would kill most things.
I sent you a letter to come see me. Whether or not you read it, you're here now. We have a very important mission, and we need someone who is reliable to do it. We need a very specific piece of pre-war analytical technology. You're the most reliable person I can think of aside from You're the best I can think of who might be available. Interested? Hello, I'm glad you came by. I'm very relieved to hear that. Now, I know I've told you items were heavy before, but that was nothing compared to a GCMS setup. To make matters worse, I have no idea where to find one, just where to start looking. This is a research-grade piece of analytical lab equipment. Pre-war, they would be found in forensic, chemistry, biology, metrology, and university labs, or they may have outsourced and there's nothing there. Basically, if you wanted to know the precise elemental composition of a substance, you'd need one of these. I'll transfer the data about regional research labs from my Pip-Boy to yours. That way you'll have some starting points for the search. Are you sure? This is highly specialized equipment, and we could really use your help. I've been authorized to pay you well for it. There's only so much I'm authorized to tell you, but we're after a large chunk of delicate equipment called a gas source mass spectrometer. I can't really tell you why we're interested in it at this point. The sheriff is extremely paranoid, an instinct that has served us well thus far. However, the pay reflects the importance of the item. I've been authorized to tell you the mission pays handsomely, to the tune of 1,500 caps. I would hope that covers the no questions asked fee. I am afraid I'll have to refuse. I don't think our interests align, to say the least. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Lily. I knew you could do it. Congratulations, Lily. This is a big deal, and quite an honor. Now do us all a favor, and just accept it. Yes, well, thank you, Lily. Good luck out there, everyone. Looking forward to it, sis, but as I was saying, Ticonderoga Safe House. It's okay. Anyway, as the sheriff said, the safe house is an old office building, a very vertical one with a small ground footprint. Scouts have reported activity there for years, but we had no reason to suspect they were anything but scavvers until now. They also report there are only 2 apparent exits from the building, an elevator and a doorway, both of which are locked most of the time. The operation will be headed by Lieutenants Dan and Harkins, and I'm about to detail it, so listen up. Lieutenant Dan will disable the elevator by forcing open the doors with his Halligan bar and opening the elevator car ceiling panel. At the same time, another deputy will open the building's HVAC air exchanger panel on the other side of the interior elevator pillar. They will set tire fires in the elevator car and the air handler and force the smoke into the building, up the elevator shaft and vent system. We scavved many industrial fans when constructing the greenhouse, so those will be no problem to obtain and use to move the smoke. Anyone who's walked more than 10 meters in the wasteland knows how noxious a burning tire is, and will have concentrated it inside the building. This will inevitably force the occupants out of the only remaining exit, a door on the ground floor mezzanine. Lieutenant Harkins will have deployed 3 turrets along the mezzanine to greet the agents when they come out of that door. The entirety of the Ticonderoga team will be waiting for any agents that get past the turrets and make it to the top of the mezzanine stairs. Once the turrets have stopped, 2 or 3 units will equip gas masks and sweep Ticonderoga for any and all survivors.
You guys cover us while we work. There is no telling what they might pull with that teleporter.
Monoammonium phosphate is a compound that I can use to replenish soil phosphorus without having to worry about killing my seedlings with too much ammonia. It was often used in farming, and higher grade forms were used in food industries as a buffering agent and nutrient source. It was often sold in liquid form, but for hauling it across the wasteland, I'd suggest you find a powdered form to save weight. I can add water here. Farms, chemical warehouses, and food plants are your best bets. It could be in liquid or powdered form, but I'd prefer powdered. Monoammonium phosphate. It'll be found in large sealed drums or large waterproof bags like you find fertilizer in. Of course. That urea was invaluable, but the soil is still deficient in several nutrients, including phosphates. Right now, the next step in my soil treatment is adding phosphorus to my seedling soil with monoammonium phosphate. I've been buying chemical fire extinguishers from merchants and using the monoammonium phosphate in them, but I really need a higher purity and larger quantities. Excellent. Like the urea, you'll find monoammonium phosphate in chemical warehouses and large-scale farms. You might also find high-purity monoammonium phosphate in food manufacturing sites, like bread, animal feed, and beverage makers. That's fine, but the jobs aren't going to change. I've got a very specific list that needs done. That's unfortunate. I can promise your efforts won't go to waste if that helps. How many other people are trying to feed the entire Commonwealth? Welcome back to the greenhouse. Did you find that monoammonium phosphate yet? If that's your choice. To be honest, there's not much value in what you have if the person doesn't know how to use it. Here's your payment. I'd offer a tour of the greenhouse, but I'm afraid I have another, more pressing issue. Our wasteland adventurer returns, and with the monoammonium phosphate. I have your payment right here. Some time ago, I hired a scaver, Lenny, to find another compound, anhydrous ammonia. This dangerous substance is caustic, explosive, and flammable. So I only hired him to locate it and report back. I had intended for Lily to actually transport the pressurized cylinders. She's done it before, but I haven't heard back from her in a while, and I can't find Lenny anywhere in Diamond City at the moment. He's probably out scavving. It's too horrible to think, but there's a chance she might have run into trouble out there. This isn't the first time I haven't heard back when trying to get anhydrous ammonia. One time I could consider it a bad courier, but twice now is too much coincidence. What's more, that's Lily we're talking about. She wouldn't double-cross anyone from the Bleachers. I'm really worried about Lily. I just want to make sure she didn't run into raider trouble. As tough as she is, she's out there all alone, without her power armor. It's possible. Anhydrous ammonia is used to synthesize pure jet and psycho. Nearly all of the chems these days are made on a stovetop. They're less effective, and there's no quality control. Smart raiders sometimes figure out how to synthesize them from pure compounds. I need you to find out what happened to Lily and track it down to the end. It's not like her not to report back. The brave hero returns.
See if she's there, then retrieve any anhydrous ammonia that's left. It will be very heavy, so prepare accordingly.
More importantly, Lily is my best friend. We're like sisters, so I'm worried about her. Find her first. Lily vouched for you and brought you into our home, I might remind you. Finding her would go a long way to showing us her faith wasn't misplaced. This is likely much more dangerous than retrieving a bag of powder. I understand if you're afraid. I will pay handsomely if that changes your mind. Anhydrous ammonia is stored in heavy pressurized tanks. It's also very dangerous. Smart couriers avoid firefights when transporting it. If it was stolen, it was most likely to a quiet part of town and on a cart that could handle such weight. I suspect the tracks left by whatever they used will be easy to follow. It is a very heavy container. Find the ammonia and you'll most likely find out about Lily. Lily is overdue in reporting back. She was transporting a large shipment of interest to raiders. Find her, please. Any luck finding out what happened to Lily yet? We have the data. Now we need to analyze it and refine the parameters of the next phase. That's going to take a few hours. I looked at it on my Pip-Boy on the way back here. It's pretty solid-looking data, but I won't know for sure until we actually analyze it. The important thing is we've got it, and it's high quality enough we can use it.
Did you reconsider finding out what happened to Lily? I was under the impression she was your friend, too.
Depends on the question, I suppose. What did you want to know? Sure, of course. What did you want to know? Yes, of course, a few days doesn't matter. So Rizzo needs a favor, huh? He's got you wrapped around his little finger. I'm just teasing you, Lily. Of course you should go see what Rizzo needs. They're all the way out in the middle of nowhere by themselves. You can't just choose who you love. You could be wrapped around the finger of a jerk, but you've at least got Rizzo. There are lots of girls in Diamond City who would walk over coals to call him theirs, but he's yours. Oh, speaking of Atom Cat desirables, Lenny said to tell you he saw a motorcycle in the loading bay at Mass Chemical, too. Quite the contrary, it helps her maintain an effective force. She's very respected by her troops and a brilliant strategist. She was born and raised Brotherhood of Steel, educated and trained in the pre-war military academy tradition, if what I heard is true.
She didn't see eye to eye with some of their more authoritarian tendencies, and tried to help a town that had water filter tech the gunners wanted.
I'm told her squad repelled them, but she lost her whole arm, 4 knights, and some civilian militia by the time it was over. It was very intense. Costly victory for no strategic gain is the gist of what the Brotherhood of Steel had to say about her decision. She told me herself they made her a scribe and refused to replace the arm. That's not the half of it. Her entire squad got punished too, every last one of them, bumped down to scribes, for saving some innocent lives. So they did what any principled and strategically minded squad would do in that situation. Loaded 2 vertibirds up with a small plasma arsenal and over a dozen full T-60 power armor units in the middle of the night and deserted the Brotherhood of Steel. Yep. They stayed under the Brotherhood of Steel radar until they were able to locate the Outcasts, a faction of ex-Brotherhood knights who also weren't fans of fascism. She gave them the vertibirds, they gave her an arm, and her squad a home and a purpose again. It was a win-win. You mean what happened to the dozen or so T-60s she took with her, right? That's some pretty valuable cargo. That gets into how she and the power armor ended up here. That's a long story for another time, and not a particularly happy one. I think that sounds like a nice addition to the diner.
Their main facility may be a hole in the ground now, but the threat is far from over. Button it up now, Lily.
Thank you for bringing Lily back to us, but she really needs medical help. Please excuse us.
Steer clear of Mo Cronin. His whole swatter sales pitch is all an act. He hasn't read a single history book, if he can read at all. He also has a problem keeping his hands to himself, if you know what I mean. Although he's been better since the sheriff broke every bone in his hand. Becky Fallon's husband was kidnapped by the Institute. She puts on a brave face somehow, but it changed her, from what I'm told. Nobody can seem to get Diamond City Security to take much of an interest. Just another reason why Piper's story about McDonough resonated so well. I have, yes. I was flattered Geneva asked me to handle it, but I took some soil samples down there. It didn't look good.
But to be more accurate, after generations of growing the same crop and being sprayed down with the swill that Kowalski calls water, it's hopeless. There's nothing safe about that soil, or anything that would leach into it from the immediate area. The place is completely contaminated.
Hello, stranger. Welcome to the Centerfield Greenhouse. I'm Dr. McClintock, botanist and owner. Can I help you with anything? Ah, Lily's friend. Hello. Here to trade, relax, or do you have some questions?
You make a good point. There's only so far a patrol can push out there before they've got nothing covering their backs. They should be fine as long as the Institute doesn't decide to turn them into the next University Point. Loose lips sink ships, DP. Not yet. I can get many different species of flowers to grow on one vine, but when it comes time for the flowers to germinate into fruits, the growth factors I'm using from blight to maintain discrete haploid states in hyphae that I've adapted to plants is doing its job too well. Rather than maintaining the diploid nuclei in a plasmagamic fused cell state, heterogenic synapsis results in massive genetic disruption and damage. This isn't a problem in blight, as the nuclei are compatible. Not so my multi-species hybrids. The chromosomes are ripped apart. In plain talk, meiotic non-disjunction is killing them when they need to actually produce food. I need to attenuate the temporal characteristics of the signaling cascade. It's okay, DP. I'll find a way around the problem. Lunch sounds great. I can see that. It's in amazing condition for its age. You got really lucky with that one. Were the internals in good shape, too? Dinner, first off, please. But I was wondering if you could help with the honey harvest again this year? I don't know. I'd like to try one sometime. Somewhere safe from me damaging everything. Anyway, I asked her about it. I guess she traded the Outcasts a few working T-60s for the same number of old beat-up T-53s. Me either. But I guess she did her research and specifically asked them for this one. She said the military designed it with EMP attacks in mind. Pulse weapons and robots. It's made to take out processors and fight in tactical scenarios where heavy pulse weapon deployment is anticipated. I can see I lost you there. It should be very effective against synths, robots, and on an electronics jamming battlefield. It's okay. I've done my share of crying over her today, too. Why don't we just sit here and watch the plants? It's been helping me to cope. Hi, DP. Oh my. Have you been crying? Indeed. No, you do not. The screaming alone was a nightmare, not to mention all the complaining afterwards. I told her. I warned her. Anyone listen to the scientist? No, of course not. What the hell could I possibly know about my own work, right? That brainiac wants to sue me for pain and suffering. I ask you, do you see a lawyer anywhere? Maybe a court of law? Because I sure as shit don't. That's the smartest thing I've heard all day. Thanks, DP. You always know just what I need. Yes, of course I'll be there. It is sad. The people of the Commonwealth will never truly rebuild until they take it back from their fear of the dark. When either DP or I leave the city, we have to book protection with one of the caravans. We're not fighters like you three. Vault 81 isn't terribly far away, but it might as well be on the other side of the Commonwealth for a scientist like me. I'd die without protection. All the Minutemen wanted was to organize the people to make that trip safe again. It's not something one wants to think about, but I haven't heard much about them in a while, certainly not since the Quincy massacre. If they truly did get stamped out, root and stem, we won't see anything like them in our lifetimes again. That walk to the vault will never be safe.
Yes, I do have work. Remember the mass spectrometer I mentioned? I need you to find it and return it. Great work. Let's see, we got the traps, the oven, the injector. There's the capillary columns. They're all in excellent condition as well. Good thing they left the assembly properly shut and sealed. I can't stress how important this item is to us. Good luck out there. Our family is complete again thanks to Lieutenant Crenshaw and you. Thank you. Of course, Heather. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Hey, asshole, this isn't baseball. This is extinction. I developed those strategies specifically so the railroad wouldn't have a chance. If you think I'd give our guys anything less to work with, you don't know how we operate here. Glad you guys made it. Is everyone okay? I went down my checklist. I even barfed on the way here. And if I pee my pants out there, I'll just keep going. So, yeah. I think I'm as ready as I'll ever get. Time to make the donuts. I'm certainly glad you kept it safe for us, Whitworth. We've been monitoring energy bursts for years from that spot. Those should stop, right? Does their music station transmit from there too? Good luck out there, everyone. Come home safe to us. Good luck out there. Please, bring Lily back safely.
And what do you think of it? Do you think he's a synth? At any rate, yes, Lily, we were talking about Piper's article on McDonough. It's not that easy, and you know it. The sheriff can't just go in there and do what she wants. He's got rights until it's proven he's a synth. Oh, Lily, one last thing before you go. I got word of another chemical supply, and I need someone with some experience to get it for me. Lenny said he came across some anhydrous ammonia while picking through Cambridge Mass Chemical, in the loading bay. This is an important one, that's why I'm asking you. My plants go through a lot of nitrogen, and this would take care of them for over a year. It's going to be liquid, and you don't want to spill it on yourself. I don't know how big or what shape the tank will be, though. Good luck out there. Be careful. Word is Quincy's gunners are pretty well dug in by now. I do, but why don't you come back when you're done going to Quincy with Lily? I've got a different job for you. Which is the primary reason we've been Please tell me you have some word about Lily. Welcome back to the Centerfield greenhouse. Can I help you with something? Hi, DP. Yes, please. How are you today? Hey, DP. How are things going?
Crenshaw returned already with the treatment. We should be operating at full capacity sometime tomorrow. Crisis averted.
Take care, DP. Thanks for lunch. I agree with you on that. I wish the sheriff would watch over them better. They're not just a reliable source of power armor, they're worth protecting. Sounds like a plan. See you then. Pretty well, all things considered. They grow so fast compared to regular plants, though, it depletes the soil much faster. It is, but it also means I've got to keep on top of the soil testing and find new sources of nitrogen and other nutrients to condition it. That's why I need to get my tips from pretty much anyone who's seen something out there with a mass chem label on it. I remember you and Penske both telling me. Problem is, he's assisted 6 generations of Vault 81 scientists. You can't replace that kind of knowledge. He knows how to do everything in the greenhouse and lab, no matter how advanced. That's why Dr. Penske gave him to me when I left Vault 81. It would literally take another 200 years to retrain to that level. Not only do I not have that kind of time, he'd just develop a personality again. T-53 power armor. You ever heard of that? Tiring. Had to split the colony and scrape some old frames for the new season. It always takes a lot of scraping to get them off. Never mind the effort of checking every couple days for new queen cells to preserve with the split. Yeah, I saved that strange Raider cage helmet I asked the sheriff to procure for you last time you helped. You have your own bee gear now. Bigger. It would be more impressive if it didn't carry the Brotherhood on it. It's quite an achievement of resource to be wasted on the military. Oh, what did you have in mind? Hi, DP. How was work today? Hi, DP. Gonna be smelling like the beehive. Today was inspection. The pulse field array mounted on its back looked a bit strange, but I have to say, it grew on me during the meeting. It looked like some sort of black skeleton wings. Great for psyops, bad for walking through a restaurant. She'd knock everything over. I can see what Lily was talking about when she started calling her the Angel of Death because of that array. Okay, well, let me know if you've got any questions. Let me know if you scav any large chemical batches out there. I might buy them. Take care then. Watch out for the vines. They like blood and can move pretty fast. For plants. If you come across any irradiated ghouls or their zoologic counterparts, I'll pay handsomely for their blood. See me if you start coughing up glowing, bloody mucus. You might have inhaled a spore and it took root in your lungs. Take care now.
Yeah, it should work, as long as they're where the data says they are. What did Whitworth say the blast radius on that thing was? I know, I'm just not made for this. I would do it myself, but I'm honestly not equipped to go rummaging around the wasteland unprotected. I'd almost certainly be killed. The first treatment I need is to replenish soil nitrogen levels, and a job this size requires urea, and a lot of it. It was a pretty standard soil treatment for large-scale farming before the war, and is used to recondition poor post-war soil on today's farms. But make sure you're prepared. It's stored in large drums. They're big, super heavy, and must remain perfectly sealed. Yeah, we need to be a little more decisive in what we do with this information. Sheriff? We shouldn't let something like that go to waste. There's bound to be excellent scrap there, if not some functional tech. There's a lot of tech in that facility. Obviously, we can't be sure if it's safe to go in there, but it's certainly safer than before they went dark.
I've been working with materials from Vault 81, Brahmin dung, and standard fertilizer, but I really need industrial-strength soil interventions. That's where you come in. Are you up to hunting down large quantities of pre-war chemicals? Did you read Piper's article about McDonough? And? Dr. Pensky told me never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. Do you think one can be so witless that their unwitting cooperation is so gross and negligent that it can appear to be collusion to an outsider? Again. Every week we do this, sis. You know what she's going to tell you. He hasn't actually committed any crimes. It's up to us at the ballot box. What Piper did put time on our side. Every day that goes by, more people think he's a synth, and the less support he has. If the election were today, he'd lose. We've just got to keep the pressure on. Keep pushing for action and answers on those kidnappings.
Looks like we've got a bumper crop of assholes this season. I blinded you with science, bitch! Arrgh! Deny this science, asshole! Oh, good. My plants could use some fresh blood.
And what did you think of it? Did you think he was a synth?
You must be new here. Let me clarify. Just about everyone in the Commonwealth knows what they're responsible for.
Lily? Lily? Oh my god, can it... Oh, Lily, is that really you?
Avoid Nelson Latimer. Spoiled children of rich parents never turn out well. Rumor is he's up to no good, trying to get favored with the Triggermen.
We need to find out what they were after at that Slocum's Joe. It could be important.
It's a poorly kept secret that Malcolm Latimer runs with the Triggermen. Another person to avoid. And Codman has been trying to get DP to make his diner more exclusive for years, and he keeps throwing her out. That's just not how DP operates. He opened his diner for everyone in Diamond City. I don't think she'll ever figure that out.
Afternoon, DP. What's up? Good afternoon, DP. The yield of my crops is what's up. I'll have some nice veggies for your diner in a couple weeks. And if it isn't my favorite Mr. Dr. Proprietor. This is amazing. The only thing I like more than the taste of your food is that you're the only one cooking with clean water in the city. Indeed you can't, DP. Especially with your cooking. I'm not really an engineer. I mean, I know how coolers work, but wouldn't you want someone more handy? Maybe Myrna? Oh, yes. Of course I can do that. I'll take a walk down there this evening. Is that soon enough? You managed to get him away from that spot on the wall long enough to help you, huh? That sounds like the perfect thing to go with lunch today. Thank you, DP. Sage wisdom if I ever heard it, DP. Thank you. Oh, wow, DP. I could use it after the morning I've had. Thank you so much. It's Mendel. He was complaining about Twisted Mister's hat again. He wants some glasses now so he'll look like a real scientist, he said. It looks like we're both having Mr. Handy issues. See ya. I'll admit, that does sound much better than thinking about dead railroad agents. Huh, indeed. But yes, that honey and mead will go on your shelves and keep the bleachers in caps the way it has for several years now. To bees, may mankind not kill them all off a second time. The word is that a huge airship went floating over the city. Did you see it? The Institute, according to the sheriff. Something down in D.C. spooked them bad enough that they built this thing to come up here and take them out. I understand they effectively mugged an aircraft carrier city down there for the engine to power that waste of man-hours and metal. Regardless, the one left standing, or floating in this case, will be significantly weakened and distracted from the effort. Not much, but your question tells me you're thinking of something. Good Neighbor? Magnolia? Hotel? Excuse me? Time to unwind with your host, Mr. Dr. Pepper. Don't tell me you're thinking of going anyway. That's better. Sure, that sounds like some fun. I've heard things about Magnolia's bar, good and bad, but always interesting. Looks like I'll finally have a reason to wear that dress Tina gave me when I moved out of the vault. Ugh, and I'm bringing my own bed sheets.
Nothing I haven't told you already. This is a very important mission with the no questions asked bonus pay. Understand? You're back.
Please tell me you have the GCMS.
This is troubling. I see a lot of late-night planning in the next week. I mean, if the sheriff's office still exists by then. I wouldn't have it any other way, Lily. I'm so happy for you.
This is no time for small talk.
That gives us 400 meters end to end, not accounting for cavitation and pressure at that depth. Looks like we'll need every bit of that blast radius to do the job. That's the big question, isn't it? The deeper it is, the more pressure will be on the walls of the void, and the bigger the effective radius. Which is why...
Oh, Lily, I'm so glad you made it back safe! This structure wasn't originally a greenhouse. In fact, the entire second story was collapsed in on the first. There was no actual second floor left. Mr. Dr. Pepper gathered his friends, and together we filled the entire first floor with soil from under the stadium foundation. The soil you're standing on goes all the way down to street level. You're in what is effectively a giant glass-covered flower pot. However, soil quality was very poor, and incapable of sustaining the heavy turnover of carbon-fixed materials in the greenhouse today. That's wonderful news. I need you to find as much urea as possible to replenish the nitrogen content of my soil. It's big, heavy, and usually stored dry. Make sure you have enough space to carry it back when you find it. You should start your search in any chemical plants and warehouses, or even farms, particularly high production or poor soil quality farms. That's fine, but the jobs aren't going to change. I've got a very specific list that needs doing. Welcome back. Did you find that urea yet? You're back. Can I safely assume that large, pre-war drum you brought with you is the urea I asked for?